In the last class, we were on this PPT, we were dealing with some statically determinate problems, like we were looking at some deflections under axial loads, and we will today discuss for stresses due to self weights and due to temperature. And after that, we will see what are concentration of stress, residual of stress, and stepped rod members we have already seen, and we will see some examples related to those. Now, this we have already discussed what are elastic deformations of an axially loaded members. Uh, then we have discussed for this prismatic bar subjected to gradually applied load, and we have also seen this stress diagram, and this is only stress diagram along the length. Then we have discussed for deflection of stepped bar under axial loads. We have also discussed for principle of superposition. Then we have also discussed for deflection of composite bar under axial loads. What are compatibility equation for the problems of indeterminate structure, like we have incorporated in our uh, this PPT topics also, that we will discuss some indeterminate problems. Now let us discuss what are those indeterminate things. Indeterminacy is that thing which can't be determined by using three equilibrium equation or equilibrium equation. Like we have equilibrium equations, for example, summation of x is equals to 0, summation of y is equals to 0, summation of moment about any point is 0. So these are our equilibrium equation. So sometimes these equations are not enough for us to find out the results. Like in this case, in composite action, we have taken one compatibility equation, that is delta 1 is equals to delta 2. Now we are using here a compatibility equation, means this is an additional information. With the help of this additional information, we are deriving an equation. This is my equation, one of the equation, that delta 1 is equals to delta 2. Now I will be using this information to solve my indeterminate problem. So wherever there a word comes to deal with indeterminate problems, we require some additional equations, additional to our equilibrium equations. Is that clear? Okay. So moving on to now, today we will discuss. Before that, we have ended to deflection of circular bar under axial loads. Now today we will going to discuss about deflection of bar due to self weight. Now, as you can see in this diagram, what I have done, I have taken an elemental length dx, okay, which is x distance apart from the bottom edge, okay, and the whole weight, whole self weight is acting at the CG of this x length, which is wx, okay. So I want to find out the total deflection of this bar, which is subjected to self weight. So if you are able to see notepad, so what I wanted to do, I want to derive deflection of bar, prismatic bar. This is our prismatic bar, and we have discussed this prismatic and tapered. What are prismatic sections and what are tapered sections? So our section is not changing, that is uniform. Now I want to calculate deflection of prismatic bars due to self weight. Now what happens, that suppose we have taken one element which is L distance. Okay, now this will be subjected to W load, which will act at centroidal axis CG. Okay, I want to find out what will happen to this So what I'll do, I'll just take an elemental length, which is dx like this. This is dx. This is x distance from bottom x. So my weight will be equals to wx. Okay, and total length is L. So for this elemental area, I can write down that my d deflection, d delta will be equals to Wx upon area. Area at this point. Now, this since we are saying this is a prismatic cross section, so this Ax will be equals to total area. Means our area is not changing at any point of time, anywhere in as a location, anywhere it is not changing, it is constant throughout. So d delta is equals to wx into dx upon ax into e. This should be the equation, but since ax is not changing, ax is constant throughout, so we can write wx into dx upon area into e. Now I want to calculate total deflection. So I have to integrate from 0 to L. D delta is equals to integrating from 0 to L. This will be Wx into dx upon A into E. Now directly we can't determine W, that is weight of dx element. So what we will do, we will write in terms of gamma. So gamma is the density. Gamma is the density. So we can write it for this length x. So this is my x distance length. Okay. So at my x distance apart, my weight wx, I can write that is to be equals to gamma into area into x, that is wx. So I can substitute this. My 0 to L will be gamma into area into x into dx upon AE. Now A to A cancel. Uh, so my total deflection delta after integrating this, I will receive gamma L square upon 2. Now gamma is unit weight or weight density, that will be equals in kilonewton per meter cube. So total weight will be equals to gamma into area into L. So we can substitute this W back to in this situation. From here gamma is area into L. So this thing can be back substituted. But my total deflection delta will become W upon area into L into L square upon 2E. My L to L cancel. So this will be W into L upon AE. So that my total deflection. So I can conclude here. I can say that my total deflection is half of the deflection which will occur due to external loading. Now, what is the effect of external loading? That my load will be applied not at the CG, that will be applied at this point. And what is the effect of self weight? That it will act or it will be applied on the CG like this. This is my CG. So I have find out the deflection for this beam. Now my case 2 for conical bar. So if you see that we have completed this, now we want to determine for conical bar. So let's say I want to find out the deflection for conical bar like this, my conical bar, and somewhere here at x distance, I'm taking an elemental length dx. Okay, so area x is equals to pi r x square. So I now my area is changing. So this is tapered section. This is not prismatic section. The area AX at this point will be pi Rx square. So if I'll see, if I'll cut a section here like this, if I cut a section here, so I'll come to know, I'll see that this is my XX. So this is my XX section. This is my XX section. This is my cone like this. This is my Rx, and this distance is x distance. Okay, so area at xx is ax pi by r. For deflection of elemental length, d delta is equals to wx into dx upon ax into. Now wx can be determined by knowing the density of the material. So we can write that Wx is nothing but density into volume. Now density into volume will be Ax into x. Wx can be written as gamma into what is area? Area is 1 by 3. Okay, 1 by 3. This is Ax is 1 by 3. Ax into this. So Ax can be written as pi Rx square into x. So this is my Wx. I need to substitute this Wx in that equation. So this is my equation 1 and this is my equation 2. So I am substituting 2 in 1. So delta deflection is equals to gamma into 1 by 3 into pi Rx square into x into dx divide by ax into e. Now ax can be cancelled. So this is ax and this is ax, which is being cancelled. So I'm left with gamma into x dx upon 3e. I'm going to integrate this from 0 to L, 0 to L. So I'll get my total deflection is equals to, my total deflection will be gamma into L square upon 6e. So this is nothing but, so my total deflection is 1/3 of, now if you see back, so this is gamma L square upon 2e for a prismatic beam. So I can write that this is deflection due to cell weight of prismatic beam or prismatic process. So I can write here my delta is equals to gamma L square upon 6e. Now gamma can be written as total weight. This your Wx upon volume. So this is my W, total weight W, and volume is 1 by 3 pi r square into total length L. Now this can be substituted. So this can be, this gamma from here can be back substituted in this. So you can find the gamma, deflection in terms of W weight of the beam. Similarly, you can calculate stresses also. Now we know stress at x section will be given as Wx upon Ax Now Wx can be written as 1 by 3 gamma into Ax into x upon Ax. Okay, Ax can be cancelled. So this is gamma into x by 3. So my sigma x is directly proportional to x. So likewise, you can find the stresses for this uh, conical section and for your prismatic beam. So we are starting with thermal stresses or temperature stresses. In thermal stresses, what happens if there is free expansion? Free expansion is allowed means what? You have not restrained it on its end. आपने end पर कोई restraint नहीं लगाया है, तो जब आप उसमें थर्मल टेम्परेचर को चेंज करेंगे, चाहे इंक्रीज करेंगे या डिक्रीज करेंगे, तो उसमें आइदर एक्सपेंशन और कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा रिस्पेक्टिवली। अगर आप थर्मल स्ट्रेसेस को सॉरी टेम्परेचर को आप इंक्रीज कर रहे हैं तो एक्सपेंशन होगा और डिक्रीज कर रहे हैं तो कॉन्ट्रैक्शन होगा, प्रोवाइडेड ये एक्सपेंशन और कॉन्ट्रैक्शन कब होगा? जब हमने उसको रेस्ट्रेन नहीं किया है। और अगर हमने उसको रेस्ट्रेन नहीं किया है तो कोई स्ट्रेसेस जनरेट नहीं होंगी। अगर हम उसको रेस्ट्रेन करेंगे तो ही उसमें स्ट्रेसेस जनरेट होंगी। So you can read from here, if free expansion is allowed to occur, then there will be no stresses in any direction. But then stresses will develop in that direction called thermal stresses. अगर उसको free expand ना करने दिया जाए तो stresses will develop in that direction, which is called thermal stresses. If temperature of the bar is increased by T degrees Celsius, then free expansion will occur if there is no resistance in any direction. Okay. If bar is placed on frictionless surface, then free expansion on heating. Heating means we are increasing the temperature. So when we increase the temperature, our expansion delta L is representing the expansion, which will be equals to L. L is total length of that member into alpha into T. Alpha is thermal coefficient of the material. Whatever the material we use, it have the value of its thermal coefficient. According to that, it varies when temperature is increased or decreased. So from here we can derive that this delta L is equals to total length into alpha t. If you observe this delta L upon L, this is nothing but strain. So if you can say that my strains due to temperature is alpha t, you can derive from here that my strains due to temperature is equal to alpha t. So now we have taken one member, okay, and this is being restrained at its end. This Ra and Rb are representing the reaction forces, and you are increasing the temperature. So first we should understand what is free expansion. So for this, what we have done, temperature is being increased. We have assumed that there are no restraints. There are no restraints. So free expansion will be this delta L, which will be represented by delta L is equals to alpha T into L. Alpha T is nothing but strain. So we are going to derive stresses equation for this particular cases. So we have taken that member, and that is restrained in x direction. This is our x direction, and we are increasing the temperature. So let the bar is restrained between rigid support in x direction. Due to rise in temperature, compressive stresses will develop in x direction. Now what will happen that if we are assuming that the member is not restrained, then there will be free expansion. Now this expansion will be countered by these restraints. So if the restraints are present at both the ends, what does that mean? They are providing me a counter. Counter means they are when we have assumed no restraints, my bar is trying to expand in this direction, but since I have put the restraints from both the sides, so this is not allowing this free expansion to happen, means they are generating a compressive forces. So whenever there is expansion, the stresses will generate compressive. If restraints are provided. If suppose there is contraction, the stresses will generate tensile if restraints are provided. This is very simple. If I'm decreasing now think for the opposite case. Here we have increased the temperature. Now we are decreasing the temperature. Now if we are decreasing the temperature, there is possibility of what? Contraction. There will be pre-contraction. So my bar will try to come at this point. And if I have restraint, suppose here, what does this restraint will do? This will try to pull in x direction. Pull this line in x direction. What does that mean? These restraints are providing tensile stresses. Now we have understood this concept. Now let's see that case again where we have restrained the bar like this at L distance apart. And we have fixed the bar from both the ends. Now we are increasing with temperature T degrees Celsius. Okay, so I can conclude from here my final deflection or final deformation means delta will remain 0 because these ends are fixed. Whatever is going to happen between this length L. So my final deformation is 0. Okay, now my final deformation involves two things. One is free expansion. Now when I'm saying free expansion, I'm assuming there are no constraints. No constraints means there is no such fixed end that is free to expand. Now second, I'm assuming there are constraints. So this, let's say this is my delta 1 and let's say this is my delta 2. So my final deformation delta, which is equals to 0, will be equals to delta 1 plus delta 2. Now delta 1 will be equals to L alpha T as we know. Now delta 2 is sigma into L upon E. Sigma means stress in x direction. Sigma x means stress in x direction. Now, as we know, if we are raising the temperature, stresses will be of compression nature. So this sigma x will be of compressive nature. Compressive nature. So for this compressive nature, we can write a minus sign here. So my delta 1 and delta 2 will be, we will substitute this delta 1 and delta 2 in this equation. We will substitute this delta 1 and delta 2 in this equation. So we can write L alpha T minus sigma x into L upon E is equals to 0. From here I can derive that my stress in x direction, which is of compressive nature, will be equals to E alpha T. So I have derived my stresses in x direction, which is of compressive nature, which is equals to E alpha T. Now we know that this alpha T is nothing but strain. So sigma x is equals to E into E. If this is modulus of elasticity, then this alpha T is strain. So from here I am concluding that my strain due to temperature is equals to alpha T. So from here I am concluding, I am drawing a conclusion that my strain due to temperature is equals to alpha T. Okay, so now let's suppose we take an element which is in 3D, like this. Okay, so this is my x direction, this is my y direction, and this is my z direction. Okay, so now temperature is raised and sigma is compressive. We know that when temperature is raised, then sigma is compressive. If temperature is lower down, then sigma is in tensile nature. This we know. Okay, now we are looking at this cube, which is L length from all the sides. Now what we are doing, we are restraining in x direction. So we are blocking. So this is my x direction. So we are blocking this face and this face. This face. This is restrained in x direction. So this is restrained in x direction and free to expand in y and z direction. So my sigma in x direction will be equals to E alpha T, and my sigma y is equals to 0 and sigma z is equals to 0, as that is free to expand in y and z direction, hence no stresses will generate. No stresses will generate. Okay, and now I want to calculate my delta x, that will be equals to 0 because it is fixed in x direction. Now I want to calculate my delta y. So my delta y will be equals to L alpha T due to free expansion plus I can write here deformation due to stress. तो सिग्मा y के कारण जो स्ट्रेस होगी that will be 0. सिग्मा y के कारण जो स्ट्रेस है वो 0 है. So for deformation I can write that for deformation I can write that this is mu times sigma in the x direction, so we can write sigma in x direction by E This is strain into L. So my total delta y is equals to L alpha t plus mu sigma x can be written as E into alpha t divided by E into L. This E is cancelled. L alpha t plus mu times alpha t into L. So we can write L alpha t is equals to 1 plus. So this is my delta y. Similarly, delta y is equals to L alpha t 1 plus. Now what we do in case 3, we are restraining in x and in y direction as well. Now free to expand in z direction. Now sigma x and sigma y, let's say those stresses are same and termed at sigma. So delta x will be equals to 0. From here I can write this delta x will take the deflection from free expansion, and this will take the deflection from due to stress formed due to the straining. So my free expansion will be L alpha t. Okay, then this is sigma x upon E. Then this is minus times mu sigma y upon E into L. This we have discussed in Poisson's ratio. We have discussed this in Poisson's ratio, how we write this deformation, considering the deformation in lateral direction. Mu is Poisson's ratio. So as we know, our stress is sigma x is equal to sigma y is equals to minus y minus sigma. Minus is representing, negative is representing for compression. So we can write at sigma x and sigma y will be compression, because we have restrained in sigma and sigma y direction. So E alpha t plus this will be minus sigma x by E. Sorry, this is only sigma. Now we are only considering sigma, not x. This is sigma by E, then minus mu minus sigma upon E into L is equals to 0. So L alpha t minus sigma by E minus plus mu sigma by E into L is equals to 0. From here we can derive for sigma. So my sigma is equals to E alpha t upon 1 minus mu. So this is my stress generated due to temperature. Okay. Now we can also derive for delta z. Now we can also derive for our delta z as well, similarly. So that will come out to be L alpha t into 1 plus mu upon 1 minus mu. You can derive this by your own. Just try driving this by your own. Okay. Next, if we have restraint in all the direction. Now case 4, if we'll see, if we have restraint in all the direction, here, back side and top side. Now we have restraint in all three direction. Now we have restraint in all the three direction. So our final stress, so we want to calculate delta x. So the final delta x will be equals to 0, which will comprise of L alpha T minus sigma by E into L. This is for x direction. This is for x. We can write this here as strain in x direction. Okay. So strain in y direction with the effect of x, plus strain in z direction with the effect of x. So we will write here plus mu times sorry, this we have to write, and this is minus sigma into L plus mu times sorry, this is minus here in the equation. This is minus times, as we are writing by the equation, so minus sigma. So this sigma is negative upon, this is mu times sigma in the y direction by E into L, and then this is minus, this is mu, then this is again minus sigma in z direction by E into L, and this is equals to 0. The whole sigma will come out to be E alpha T divided by 1 minus 2. Okay, and similarly, a delta y and delta z final will also be equals to 0. So if you write for sigma y, if you write for sigma y is equal to L alpha T, similar equation will form minus sigma by E by L. This is for y direction. Then minus mu minus sigma into L by E. This is for y direction. This is for x direction. And this is for z direction. This is minus mu times sigma into L upon E. So the same equation will form like this. So my sigma will be equals to E alpha T upon 1 minus 2, like this. After this, after we will see the temperature stresses due to composite bar. Okay, now we want to see the effect of temperature stresses in composite bar. Now what happens in composite bar? Like see, if we are taking two materials, so this is my material 1 and this is my material 2. Sometimes what happens, we take a pipe, circular pipe like this. So inside we have steel and outside we have copper. So in such cases, how they are going to behave when we will see the effect of temperature. So we have two materials. So this is my material 2 and this is my material 1. So I am representing them like this. So this is my material 1 and my material 2. When I have increased the temperature, now I am increasing the temperature. So both will try to move outward first, but they are restrained here. Okay. So if let's suppose there is free expansion means there is no restraints at the end. There's no restraints at the end. So my beam, my member is like this. This is material 1 and this is material 2. Now this is expanding freely. So this will expand. So this is my delta due to copper and copper. This is my copper material. This is my steel material. And this is less than this delta S. Now you will ask, sir, why you have drawn this delta shorter than this. So the reason for this is that coefficient of thermal expansion alpha for copper is greater than alpha for steel. Now what will happen, that suppose I have restrained them. I have restrained them here. So by restraining these restraints will form stresses. As we have discussed earlier, if my expansions are outer, if there is an expansion, the stresses will be in compression. So with respect to this expansion line, I am saying this, that this delta AST should come to this point. If that has to come to this point, I can say that this is in contraction. This is in contraction. So if I'm assuming steel to be in contraction, the stresses generated in steel will be of tensile nature. And my actual deflection for both the material will be same. So I can write my delta copper is equals to delta steel. Forces develop, and the forces develop. One is compression. Now there will be two stresses generated. Now two stresses are generated, each for its material. So if I say that my forces in copper will be equals to forces in steel, because this is in tension and this is in compression. So from here I can derive that sigma C into AC is equals to sigma S into AS. This is my one equation. Now, as we know, a total deformation delta AC minus delta for copper will be equals to total deformation, which is equals to 0 again. So I can write delta for copper and delta for steel are same. So for writing delta for copper, I have to take in account of free expansion plus deflection due to stresses, because we have constraint. So for copper we can write L alpha T plus sigma into L, sigma copper into L upon E copper. Okay, now this sigma is in compression. So we can write here minus sign. So this will come out to be L alpha T minus sigma C into L upon EC. Now similarly for steel we can write free expansion plus deflection due to stress. This is L alpha T plus sigma S into L upon ES. Now this sigma is in tensile in nature, that's why this is positive, like this. So delta S can be written as L alpha T plus sigma S into L upon ES. Now we can equate both these equations. So finally we are left with L alpha T minus sigma C into L upon EC is equals to L alpha T. L alpha T, this is for steel and this is for copper. L alpha T plus plus sigma S into L upon S. So this is my equation 2. So by using equation 1 and 2, 1 and 2, this equation 1 and 2, this equation 1 and 2, both the stresses in copper and steel can be determined. Okay, is